Well, again, little hit, little miss. I went downtown today to use the cinema grip that I've shown you before, all handheld. I wanted to see how it did doing motion video. And I chose downtown because on my calendar, my events calendar that I read every morning, it told me that there would be an event at Miller Park Plaza. They do this thing every once in a while where they have like this thing at lunch. They have food trucks and they have some activities that families can do. And I thought, okay, well, I'll go down there and I will, I'll take a little video of that. The whole idea was to film an Apple log using the Moment camera app. But this time I didn't want to bake in the LUT, the lookup table. I wanted to put it into DaVinci Resolve without that on the file and see what that did to being able to color grade. So the color grading, I'm pretty happy with. It could still improve some, but I'm trying to, one of the reasons that I'm doing this is that when you just take your phone and make a video, it's super, super sharp. And it looks really, really fake at times. And by using Apple Log and trying to color grade it in DaVinci Resolve, I'm trying to tone that down a little bit and make it look more like something you would see at the theater. So, and not necessarily that, but more like that. So the first thing that went wrong was that there was no event at the Miller Park Plaza. There's nobody there. And I could tell that when I parked. I parked about a block away and I was like, there's nothing going on here. I don't even know. So I thought, okay, what I will do is I will put the Moment app in slow motion, 120 frames per second. And I will film everything in slow motion and try to make this kind of dreamy looking video. And so at the very beginning, you notice the cars are moving slowly across the road. And then I stood crossing over to the pavilion. I stood there waiting for traffic and I was sort of holding the thing in my hand, and I have to hold it with two hands because I don't want the phone to fall out. And evidently I bumped something because from the shot walking toward the pavilion to the end of the video, I was at 30 frames per second and not 120 frames per second. And I thought I was filming slow motion and I wasn't filming slow motion. And, anyway. So that's a downside, is that the setting doesn't stay unless you're really careful. So, lesson learned. So anyway, but the main part of this was to see if I could colorize it to the point that I would be happier with it. And plus, I almost forgot this really important part. I went specifically at noon, the worst time of day to do video. The light is just so harsh. And, there's no shadow, there's no softness to it. And I wanted to see how the variable neutral density filter worked in that environment. And it did okay. It could have been better. If I had one that went a little darker. I think this one goes to goes from 2 to 7. If I had one that went from 2 to 10, maybe would have worked better. But overall, I thought it worked pretty well. So the experiments continue, and we will see you next week.